my grandfather's hands, the thing nobody named, but everyone inherited. I didn't choose this, but I'm the one who has to end it. Breaking the line, it ends with me. Jesus, I'm the first one to choose differently. Breaking the line, no map, no model, just your hand and the decision. It ends with me. It ends with me. Christ, nobody in my family tree showed me how to do this. No one modeled what I'm trying to become. I'm building something that has never existed in the history of my blood. And some days that feels like freedom, and some days it feels like the loneliest thing I've ever done, 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 done. Jesus, I'm not just healing for me, I'm healing for the ones who come after me, the children who will never know what it felt like to grow up inside what I grew up inside, because I decided right here, right now, that they won't have to. Breaking the line, it ends with me. Jesus, I'm the first one to choose differently. Breaking the line, no map, no model, just your hand and the decision. It ends with me. It ends with me. Christ, I learned to pray with one eye open, waiting for the punishment that felt like it was always coming. I learned that love had conditions I couldn't always meet, and that your silence meant I had done something wrong again. I did my faith. I'm losing the version of you that kept me small, that made me high, that made me earn what you already gave freely. I'm not walking away from God, I'm walking toward you for the first time, without the fear, without the debt, without the image that was never you to begin with. Learning the God they gave me to find the one who was always there. I'm unlearning the fear, the distance. Jesus, you were never what they said. I'm unlearning, I'm finally unlearning. You were never that God, you were never that God. Christ, I told myself to stop before the tears even started. I said, pull it together, someone else has it worse. I said, be strong, you have faith, you know how this ends, but the grief came anyway, and I called it weakness when you called it human. This grief is sacred. Jesus wept before he healed. This grief is sacred. Feeling it doesn't mean I failed. I don't have to rush this, I don't have to explain. This grief is sacred, and God is in the pain, and God is in the pain. Jesus, you stood at Lazarus' tomb, knowing exactly what you were about to do, and you still wept, not because you didn't know the ending, but because the pain of the people you loved was real enough to honor. Before you moved, you didn't skip the tears to get to the miracle faster, and neither do I. Christ, I've been rushing my own grief, putting a deadline on my healing, giving myself 3 days to process what took years to break, and calling myself weak when the 4th day still hurts. But you took 4 days with Lazarus, 4 days before you said, come forth. Maybe my healing is also right on time. This grief is sacred. Jesus wept before asked you for this. For years I asked you. I wrote it down, I prayed it out loud. I believed you could do it. And then you did it. And the first thing I felt was not gratitude. It was panic. I prayed for this door, and now I won't walk through. I prayed for this door, Jesus. Why do I do this? I asked you to open it, you opened it, and I'm standing here, finding reasons to stay outside. To stay outside. Jesus, I told myself I'm not ready. Someone else deserves this more. What if I fail publicly? What if I can't sustain it? What if they find out I'm not who they think I am? But you didn't open this door by accident. You don't make mistakes with the people you choose. And you chose me, knowing everything you already knew. Christ, this is not humility. Humility walks through the door, giving you the credit. This is fear, wearing the mask of unworthiness. And I've hidden behind it long enough. You didn't bring me this far to watch me stand outside. What you built for me with my own hands, move me forward, even when my feet want to stay. I prayed for this door, and now I won't walk through. I prayed for this door, Jesus. Why do I do this? I asked you to open, you opened it, and I'm standing here, finding reasons to stay outside. To stay outside. Christ, I prayed exactly like they taught me. I believed exactly like the book said. I did everything right, and the thing I feared most happened anyway. I didn't walk away, but I got quiet, and the quiet has questions. I don't know how to ask out loud. I still believe, and I still don't understand. I still believe. nothing would hurt if I believed hard enough. That's not what you promised. You promised presence. You promised you'd never leave. Not that the pain wouldn't come, but that I wouldn't face it without you. And you haven't left, even in the questions. You haven't left. I still believe, and I still don't understand. I still believe, with questions in both hands. Time has touched the wounds and still chose you. I still believe that's the hardest thing I do. The hardest thing I do. The hardest thing I do. Christ, I know the night I'm talking about. You know it too. The one I don't say out loud. Not in church, not in prayer group, not even in my own journal. The one I've carried like a stone in a pocket nobody knows about. And you were there, you saw it, all of it, and you didn't leave. You're still chosen after that specific night. Still chosen after what I did when no one was watching. Still chosen. I ran out of reasons to hide, and you were still there. Still chosen. That's the part that undoes me. That's the part that undoes me. Jesus, you chose Peter, knowing he would deny you 3 times before the rooster finished. You didn't choose the version of Peter he would eventually become. You chose the one who would fail you publicly on the worst night of your life. With full information, you still said, follow me. Christ, I've been keeping distance, using my own failures as the reason. Like if I stay far enough away, I protect you from having to deal with what I actually am. But you already dealt with it on the cross. You already saw it before I lived it. And you went anyway, which means my hiding was never protecting you. It was just Christ, I spent years managing what people see, showing the version that's easiest to accept, hiding the parts that would change the room if they knew. But you already know every version, every layer, everything I've never said out loud. And your opinion hasn't moved. The version God sees knows everything I have. The version God sees still calls me chosen, still calls me his. I can't impress you, I can't scare you away. The version God sees is the one you decided to love, decided to love. Jesus, you saw Zacchaeus before he came down from the tree. You called him by name before he deserved the conversation. You didn't wait for him to clean up first. You invited yourself to the house of the man everyone else had already written off. That's the version you see, not who I'm trying to become, who I actually am right now, and you still came. Christ, this is harder than it sounds. Because if you see everything and you still choose me, then I can't hide anymore, and I can't perform anymore, and I can't earn it anymore. All I can do is receive it, and receive it without deserving is the hardest thing you've ever asked me to do. The version God sees knows everything I have. The version God sees still calls me chosen, still calls me his. I can't impress you, I can't scare you away. The version God sees is the one you decided to love, decided to love. Christ, I made a decision that I've been paying for an anxiety. Every night I replay it, wondering if that was the moment I stepped outside what you had designed. And if everything after is just you making the best of what I brought, Grace is a rescue operation, like you're cleaning up what I messed up. But grace was never the contingency. Grace was always the architecture. You didn't build a perfect plan and then had grace when it fell apart. You build everything on grace from the beginning, including me, including this, including every decision. I'm still losing sleep. You don't have a plan B for my life. You only have a plan, and it includes every wrong turn I took. Grace is not your backup. Grace was always the plan. Jesus, you saw every detour and built the destination around it. Built the destination around it. Christ, I grew up learning what a father looked like from a distance, from a silence, from a chair that was always empty at the moments that mattered most. I didn't know what I was missing until I was old enough to see what others had and feel the shape of what wasn't there. Orphan no more. Jesus gave me a father. Orphan no more. The one I never had. I keep waiting for you to leave, like everyone before. But you stay. You always stay. Orphan no more. Orphan no more. Jesus, I brought that empty chair into my relationship with God. I waited for you to disappear. I looked for the exit before you could find it first. I kept one foot out the door because every father I knew eventually walked through it. But you didn't move, you didn't leave, you didn't find a reason to go. Christ, Abba means daddy, not father in a formal sense, not a title from a distance. Daddy, the word a child uses when they feel completely safe. I never used that word for anyone on earth and meant it, but I'm learning slowly what it feels like to say it to you and not be afraid of what comes next. Orphan no more. Jesus absorbed it. The way children absorb everything without knowing what it is. I didn't choose this way, it chose me before I had words for it. I inherited what I never chose. Jesus came with the bloodline. I inherited what I never chose, but it stops being mine today. You didn't just forgive my sins, you broke what was passed down. The inheritance I didn't ask for ends here, ends here. Ends here. Jesus, Exodus says, the sins of the fathers visit the children to the third and fourth generation. I used to read that as punishment. Now I read it as description. This is what unhealed pain does. It travels, it finds the next body, it unpacks itself in the next generation without asking permission. But you are the God who breaks every chain, including the ones I was born into. Christ, I'm not blaming the ones who came before me. They carried what they were given, the same way I carried what they gave me. Nobody chose their inheritance either. But somewhere the transmission has to stop, and now I'm choosing for it to stop with me. Not in anger, not in blame, but in the authority of your name over everything that traveled to reach me. I inherited what I never chose. Jesus came with the bloodline. I inherited what I never chose, but it stops being mine today. You didn't just forgive my sins, you broke what was passed down. The inheritance I didn't ask for ends here, ends here. Ends here. Christ, I spent years trying to hide the places where I broke, covering the cracks with performance, with competence, with looking like I had it together. But you never asked me to hide what happened. You asked me to let you feel it was something stronger than what was there before. Gold in the scars, Jesus filled what broke me. Gold in the scars, the crack became the light. I didn't lose the wound, I gained the gold. Gold in the scars, what broke me is what he's using now. Is what he's using now. Jesus, you kept your scars. After the resurrection, you could have appeared with the The crack became the light. I didn't lose the wound, I gained the gold. Gold in the skies. What broke me is what he's using now. Is what he's using now. Nobody told me that growing would cost me people. I thought transformation was something that only happened inside me. I didn't know it would show on the outside in ways that made others uncomfortable. Smaller, not because the room changed, because I did. The cost of changing is losing who you used to fit with. The cost of changing, Jesus, nobody warned me about this. I grew in the room, got smaller. Some people couldn't stay. The cost of changing, I'd pay it again. I'd pay it again, again. Jesus, you said you came to bring not peace but a sword. I used to skip that verse because it didn't sound like you until I lived it. Until the people I grew up with looked at me differently because I stopped agreeing with everything we used to agree on. It wasn't rejection, it was the cost of becoming real. Christ, I don't resent them for not following where I went. We were real, what we had was real. But people can only meet you at the level they've met themselves. And some of them weren't ready to go where you were taking me. So I grieve the distance without blaming anyone, and I keep walking because stopping would cost me more than leaving did. The cost of changing is losing who you used to fit with. The cost of changing, Jesus, nobody warned me about this. I grew in the room, got smaller. Some people couldn't stay. The cost of changing, I'd pay it again. I'd pay it again. moment, a date I could circle, a Sunday where every don't have a dramatic testimony, no single moment that makes a good story for a Sunday morning. Try again a Thursday where I was honest about how hard it still is, and you were in every one of those unremarkable days, healing me in ways I couldn't see until I look grace covers everything. I meant it, I believed it for them completely. But when I got home and the house was quiet and it was just me and the mirror, I couldn't give myself what I gave them so easily. Forgive the mirror, Jesus, help me start there. Forgive anyone else for exactly what I did, without hesitation, without conditions, without making them earn it back. I would just give it, 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 give it. I've named things tonight I've never said out loud. I've brought rooms I kept locked for years. And you walked into every one without flinching, without leaving, without making me earn the right to be honest. Christ, this is what worship looks like. I came through something I can't fully explain. Not unscathed, not unchanged, but here, still standing, still yours. what isn't resolved yet. It doesn't mean the questions are gone. It means I trust the one who holds the answers. It doesn't mean the process is over.